How to submit a carport contract in AppXpress. This video will show you how to submit a rental application and contract on our website. Following these instructions will give you everything you need to know to get your contracts processed and get you paid as quickly as possible. First, go to app.hci.net. The website works best in Google Chrome. In the upper right-hand corner, click Log In and enter the username and password given to you by our office. If there are multiple companies you sell for, they will show up in this list. Select the company you're submitting the contract under. This is the dealer homepage. If you or the customer want to start an application, click on the top left button, AppXpress, and then on New Rental App. And this is all pretty self-explanatory. You or the customer would just fill in these fields. We've got contact information, mailing, phone number, email. So just fill in the fields and follow the prompts. But I have an example one filled out, so let me pull that up. Okay, we have customer's name, their government issued ID. Most of the time it's just going to be their state issued driver's license, and it does need to be a current driver's license. And this might sound obvious, but make sure this box is checked, that you verified that the customer in front of you matches the ID that they presented to you. So make sure that box is checked because it is required. Date of birth, social security number. If they just want to input their last 4 digits of their social, you can just check this box and then enter the last 4 digits. Customer's mailing address, their cell phone, phone, and email. Cell phone and email are required, but home phone is not required, so that's why I've left it blank. If the customer wants to sign up for text messages from Heartland, they can check this box right here. The text alerts will just remind them 2 days before their payment is due, and if they're late, they will receive a text message 2 days before incurring a late fee. And it's rare, but every now and then, even a legitimate address won't validate. So if that occurs, you can just come down here and click Accept Invalid Address and continue. Physical address, this is where the building or the carport in this case will be located. So if it's the same as the mailing address, just click Copy from Mailing. And if the customer owns or rents the property, we need to know that. If they own it, great, that's all we need. If they rent the property, we need the landlord's name and contact information. And just a note here, if the customer wants a product over $10,000, they will need to provide proof of ownership for who owns the property the product will be on. So whether that is them or the landlord, we will need to get some kind of documentation of who owns that property, whether it's with a deed or a mortgage statement or something like that. Now, alternate contacts, these are just 2 people that we can contact if we can't reach the customer. Employment status, and a note about the phone numbers. If the customer is self-employed, then their cell phone number up here and their work number can be the same. But if they're not self-employed, then all of the phone numbers do need to be different for that application to go through. For the cosigner, if the customer wants someone else to be on the rental contract with them, they can add a cosigner. And just like the original customer, we do need some of the same information. Sales lot information. If you share one login, be sure to pick the sales lot that you are at and be sure that it's your name here in this salesperson's name field, just so you can keep track of the contracts you've submitted and the applications you're working on. And whatever the sales lot's name is, just make sure that that is input here in this field. And this sales lot address will default to the last sales location used in this account. If your lot's address isn't in this drop down yet, just click here, enter new lot, and then you can fill in the fields and it will show up in this drop down going forward. Okay, now to the carport information. Make sure you select the correct product type. We use carport as a blanket term for metal buildings that are built on site. So whether it's a garage, a utility building, RV carport, etc. For the product type, as far as we're concerned, choose Carport, and then whatever the brand is, And then over here under model, you can get more specific as to what it actually is. Garage, we have here for the example. And be sure to input the correct serial number that is on or going to be on that carport, just so we can keep track of it in our system. Estimated delivery date, color. And now we're down here to the rental details. The cash price is just the amount not including tax. So for this example, we're going to do $25,000. And then the security deposit commission, this is whatever your commission percentage is that you and the manufacturer have agreed upon. So you would select your percentage here, and if it's a dollar amount, you can just enter that in, but typically it's a percentage. So we'll do 10% for this example, and you can see just with those two fields, it generates this table, and you can show the customers their options. Now we've got term length, 24 through 72 month, monthly payment, LDW cost. LDW stands for liability damage waiver, and this is just a protection plan for the customer's carport against acts of God while they pay for the product. It is totally voluntary, and the customer must be current for this to be valid. If an act of God does come through and damages their carport, Heartland will pay for the repairs to fix those damages. If the carport is damaged beyond repair, we won't pay for another carport to be reinstalled, but we will release the customer from the obligation of their contract. So that's how the LDW would work. Again, liability damage waiver, just a protection plan that the customer can pay for. It's about 10% of their monthly payment, and it is on top of their monthly payments. Origination fee, this only applies to the 72-month terms, just $300 there. And then the security deposit, this is the 10% commission that would go to you, the dealer. So $2,500 is 10% of that $25,000 cash price. So that's how we got to that. And then the total due today is just that 10% commission, except for the 72-month term, which has that $300. So that's how we get to the $2,800. So let's say they want to do the 48-month term, and then the customer has a couple of other fields here. Total paying today, this is additional funds paid over the required deposit and first payment and other fees that will reduce their monthly payment, of course. So if the customer wanted to pay, say, an extra $1,000 down on top of this $2,500, you would put the true total they're paying in this field. So $1,000 extra plus the $2,500 deposit would be $3,500. So you enter there and hit tab. And now we have that accounted for here and accounted for here with this additional funds column. And you can see right there the $3,500. If Heartland is running a promotion of some kind, there would be a promo code that you could enter here. And then again, that LDW is optional. So if they want to sign up for it now, they can click yes. If no for now, they can click no. Another note about the cash price, Heartland has a $25,000 limit on what we will rent to own. But if the customer has a carport that they want to rent to own, that's say $28,000, you would still input the cash price here, and the table adds a new column right here, contract max difference, showing the customer needs to buy down the difference to keep the contract at $25,000. You still have the 10% commission, so that's how we get to the $2,800. Adding these two numbers together, we get the $5,800. That's now the total due today. Payment details, the customer just chooses the payment due date, and auto pay, of course, is preferred but not required. If they want to set that up, they have a few ways they can do that. So just fill in the fields there and click submit and click continue. Now you can see everything you just submitted. Take a look to confirm everything is correct over here on this left-hand side. Customer's name spelled correctly, product type, cash price, term length, because at this point it is so easy to go back and edit any of these sections. It'll take you right here to make the change and then save changes and take right back here to this summary page. If everything looks good, you can come down here and click Submit Rental Application. I'm going to click it one more time. Do not click the back button if you need to make a change. Just call dealer support and they can reopen it and you or them can make the change. But don't click the back button because that will create a duplicate contract and that will delay processing, which delays funding. So once the status here shows submitted, if you see something that needs to be changed, just call dealer support. Now you can see the page is broken into 3 sections. This rental app here that we've still seen, this payment information, and then on this right-hand side, the items and the documents that we need before the carport is set to ready to deliver, and it would be a new status of ready to deliver. Collect the total due today amount first. However the customer wants to pay you, you keep this amount and we net from the invoice, meaning the invoice amount will be the difference between the cash price here and the amount that you've taken. Over here, you can either request a picture of the photo ID from the customer. You already have it handy. You can just upload it right here. And you have a few options for how to get the customer's signature. So the most common way that dealers do that is just clicking here, sign all now. But if you need to email them the link for some reason, or if they want to do hard copies with a wet signature, you can do view print right here. So I'm going to click e-sign all now. And we use DocuSign. This is just saying sign the DocuSign envelope. If you want to exclude a recipient from the signing process, uncheck the box, but we definitely want that customer to be the one to sign those documents. And this is just showing what the envelope will contain. So the information sheet and the RPA, rental purchase agreement right there. So you're just going to click sign documents and sign now as the customer. The information sheet is just all the information that was input on the application. The customer signs to confirm that everything right here is true and correct. The RPA, again, rental purchase agreement. This is the agreement between the customer and Heartland detailing the terms and conditions of the contract. By signing, the customer agrees to the terms. And of course, if the customer has any questions about the RPA, please have them call customer service at 270-247-3199. They are happy to answer any questions the customer has. But there's nothing crazy here. We've got the customer's information, Heartland's information, and then the pricing information. So cash price of $28,000 plus the tax. So here's the total cash price. Here's the description of what the customer is renting from us. And here is one more time of how we got to that initial payment of $5,800. Rent is due on the 20th of each month. Heartland has an early purchase option that the customer can exercise at any point in the contract without penalty. And this just means that they can purchase the carport early, again, without penalty. The price changes each month as the customer makes their payments. So if they ever want to know what their EPO amount is, they can just call customer service. For the other items needed, right here it shows under documents, proof of ownership and the invoice. So proof of ownership, since the product is over $10,000, we need proof of ownership like we talked about earlier in the video. This proof of ownership can be a property tax bill, homeowner's insurance policy, mortgage statement, or a copy of a deed. So that's the proof of ownership, and you can just upload the scan here. And then the invoice, we really have 2 main requirements for the invoices, and they just need to be billed to Heartland. and for the cash price without tax, as the customer pays tax in their rental payments. So the invoice price needs to match this cash price. Once this initial payment has been made and the necessary documents are signed, the carport is ready to be installed as far as we're concerned. And once this status has been changed by our processors to ready to deliver, that means it's ready to install. And once the carport has been fully installed, we need a picture where we can see the outside and ideally a little bit of the inside, and you can upload it right here, photo of product, upload photo. A delivery certificate, aka a happy sheet, will generate once the status is ready to deliver, and it will show up here under documents. It needs to be signed by the customer once the product is installed and can be sent to the customer via DocuSign as well. And it's just to confirm with the customer that they are satisfied with the product, its delivery, and installation. And now that we've gone over everything, here's just a few notes. If you have other documents you need to upload, you can do so here via upload other documents. And to view pending applications or really any other applications as they make their way through processing, you just come back to AppXpress and it defaults to the All Applications tab. But again, to view pending applications, you could just come here to pending applications, and if you have a bunch like we do here in the demo, you can click here and search by the name or this AppXpress ID, and then once they have been submitted, they go into the Submitted Applications tab. And then the next tab is this Corrections tab, and this is where applications go once items start being uploaded. The status changes to under review like it has right here. And if anything needs to be changed, it's usually the invoice. The status changes to needs corrections, and needs corrections would be right here. And dealer support would also leave a comment in this box right here, letting you know exactly what the change is that needs to be made. And if you have any questions, of course, you can give them a call. The last two are ready to deliver. Once the carport is ready to be installed, it would be under this tab. Complete is the last status, and that means we have received all of the documents, including the delivery certificate. And the next step is for that invoice to get paid. Hopefully now you feel comfortable and confident submitting applications through our website, but if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to call our dealer support team at 888-850-1187.